Hi guys, sorry for the mishap. I just ended another meeting at exactly 6 and I had not shared the meeting details. That's why the confusion. I wasn't able to create a new meeting. I've just noticed that the meeting invite was reading NLP specialization, but it's actually demand forecasting. All right. Enrico, thanks for standing up and inviting the guys. I was away. I can see Faith, Josephine, Deno, Solace, Wells. Okay. I know most guys will join along the way, but today we are going to we're actually going to walk through the notebook. Yesterday, yes?
Rico,
Yes, Dennis?
Rico ako sawa?
I think so, mbona?
Ona?
Amenyamaza leo bana, hana kelele.
Class haijaanza. Mpatie tu muda, ataanza makelele zake baadaye.
Bado sijakula sugar. M-Pesa iko open.
Umtumie pesa kidogo. So I think yesterday the first team to go through the notebook was NLP. The first class of each of these sessions, we've always been just introduction, getting to know about what the project will be, a bit of brainstorming, and now we are advancing into notebooks, and we will be looking through each and every aspect starting today. So the previous class for this session, which was last week, we did the same thing. We went through an understanding of what forecasting was. We brainstormed a little bit, and we even came up with a project that we are going to run through that is going to guide us. In like just say 2 minutes to each and every person who's come, I'll just give you the opportunity to quickly just summarize what you took away from the previous class and what you look out for in this class. And if there is anything that in particular of interest you are looking at for the entire session from beginning to end, September. Yeah, so 2 minutes. We are starting with Eric.
Sorry, my expectation for the class?
Yeah, just a quick summary of the previous class. What was there? What did you take home? And expectation for today's class. And any expectation for demand forecasting as a class, generally.
Can I go last? I'm trying to remember. Like I've attended. I'm feeling like I'm the one that is in my mind is even the yesterday one. So I'm trying to recall what we did last time.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Who wants to go first?
What was the question, Ayub?
So the question was, I just want us to spend the first few minutes to just summarize what we took home from the previous class, what expectation of today's class, and general expectation of the entire session. Like now, what after either, I'm thinking maybe you spend the week trying out something, you might have gotten stuck or any insights. So this chance is just to share that with us, starting with how the last class was. Did you get what I said, or I was on mute?
No. I got what you said.
Oh, okay.
I'm the one who was on mute.
All right. So will you go first, or I just speak randomly?
Speak randomly as I collect my thoughts.
Okay. So ideally, everyone is going to have to say something. So too bad if I start with you. The first person has already offered to go last. So I'll pick Gidi. If you don't understand what you need to say, just ask and I'll repeat. I don't mind. Gidi? Gidi, we can't hear you. Though I can see your mic is, it's like you're saying something. Is Gidi with us? All right, we'll come back to Gidi. Faith?
Hi everyone.
Hi, Faith.
Yeah, you say the what we discussed last time, just a recap.
Yes.
So I think my biggest I always thought forecasting has only one way of only one method of going through it. But from the last class, I learned there could be so many approaches, and that there's always a problem to solve. Therefore, it's what you end up deciding to solve, and how well you solve it and how well you present it is what matters. Then you asked the expectation for today.
Yeah.
So today we are supposed to be looking at the exactly what we mean by time series, the different what I call them ways of visualization and all that. Yeah. I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. So my expectation is to learn when to use the different when best to use the different scenarios. Yeah. And for which type of for which characteristic of time series to use. Then expectation for the whole class as a whole. Well, I've not thought much about that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Faith. I know Josephine wasn't in the previous class. I'm not so sure. If I'm wrong, please let me know. And even Shitemi, I'm not so sure if you're in the last class. No, Josephine, were you in the last class? Please remind me.
Yes, I was.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go through? Do you want to go next?
Yeah, it's okay. At least Faith has given us an idea. You know, when you're wa kwanza aongee paraphrase statement yake. So not what exactly she said, but zitaka similar in a way. So the last class I understood what demand forecasting entails, and everybody's project you approved of, which means those are applications of demand forecasting. And my expectation after this is to know how to develop models for demand forecasting. And my expectation from the whole group is that we'll all be able, each and every person was able to mention a project that they'd like to do. So even if ours didn't get picked, like as the general project, we can still, you know, do that and put it out there because we all had good ideas. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Josephine. The next person, Gidi, are you ready?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Initially, I had a challenge with the mic. So, expectation definitely is to get hands-on experience in developing a project that will see it in production. I think that's the most exciting part of it. I think, yeah, time series, demand forecasting. I mean, looking at items of a certain time period, I've maybe try to go through some of the materials you shared.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are a lot of applications, and it's very exciting. Of September to see if we have something live and maybe we can make some money.
Yeah. Speaking of making money, the NLP project, I don't know if who here is in the NLP project. Guys are really excited. Some really good stuff is happening. And for as long as you're committed, I'm so sure all of us, for as long as you're committed, definitely something good is going to come out of this. Not only just learning, but something you'll be proud of. So let's just keep learning and give it our best.
A question, Robert.
Yes,
So,
yes, Gidi.
yeah, as much as maybe some of us are not able to attend the other projects, is there like maybe at the end of them summary of what was done and see the outcome of also the other projects?
Yes, yes, I'll make sure that happens. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, who's going next? Grace, are you now ready? Umesha settle vizuri?
I can go next as she.
Yeah, okay. Usha copy ideas. Grace bado na copy.
Grace is slow at copying. I'm quick.
Okay.
Okay, hi. Okay, sorry. I think I heard the context.
Wait, are we competing?
No, I didn't get. What did you say in the beginning? I just heard Grace bado ana copy.
Okay, you'll come
The
next
internet
after
really
Eriko.
messed me up.
Wacha kujitetea. Hata Gidi amejitetea hapo, but it's all right.
No,
Sound system.
her internet brought the wrong message, the wrong part of what I said.
Sawa. Grace will come next after Eriko, and then I'll give you a hint of what the discussion was about. Eriko, over to you.
All right. Mostly, I was trying to remember like really what we did last time, but according to what I recall, is more of we went through like the whole, like how the whole what can I call it? The whole project will be like. Like what we'll be learning at what specific times and all that. And then we finally settled on a project that we'll be going deep into, which I'm still waiting to know how it goes because I saw it was quite complex. I'm still waiting to see how we crack it. Yeah, and my expectation mainly is to see that project come to fruition, being able to like, because to me I feel it's complex, so I want to see how it turns out.
Okay.
So I want to finally see at the end, oh yeah, so this was how easy it was, or this was how hard it was, sort of thing.
All right.
Hi,
I hope Grace has got in
positivity.
mind.
Josephine said something. Josephine, just say.
Positivity, Eriko.
And
Not mention complex, usitu jinx.
That's realistic.
Doable.
Hata niliambiwa hivyo
I
pia.
said it's not doable.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Grace, sasa fungua roho.
Okay, so I think what if I remember I remember correctly, last week we came up with a problem statement. So this week you're supposed to be doing EDN visualization. So I'm just interested. I think if I can get just one thing out of today's class, I don't know whether we'll be doing autocorrelation, whether we'll be handling autocorrelation today, Ayub.
Okay.
Anything on autocorrelation?
It could be there, it might not be there. There is, but though there is a lot of content. The plan for today is to try and explain as much theory as possible using this notebook. And then immediately after this, the notebook is going to be available, and it will be upon us now to rewrite the same thing and trying to understand the concept. That is what we'll take home. But some of those terms, we are going to cover them. Yeah, I don't want to kill the curiosity in everyone. So just sit back and listen.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because I've been struggling a bit with autocorrelation. I know
Okay.
what zero autocorrelation looks like, and I get why it's important.
Mm.
But sometimes when you do a plot with autocorrelation lags, I don't quite understand them. So I was hoping that at least I'd finally get to understand them.
Grace,
Alright.
you're confusing some of us.
Yes, yes, I know, I know, I know. Yeah,
Sort
I know.
familiar, but I don't know where I had it.
Yeah, I've taken note. I will. Grace is clearly ahead, but even in fact, I'm going to be calling upon her to explain some of these concepts. So the thing is, this class and any other class, no one is going to be left behind. And if the way we are going to start is, we are going to start from the very, very basic and get to understand now the things that we are discussing last time. We won't definitely jump into autocorrelation. How do we pick from what we learned yesterday or the other last week? How do we pick from that our basic understanding of time series and how the applications? How then do we now start implementing it? And the first thing to implement it is what we are doing right now is to first review ourselves, remind ourselves, and then we get our hands dirty slowly by slowly. So don't worry. Grace amekuonyesha tu, but
Yes,
we will
Eric.
all be there.
Yep, you heard that, Eric. You shouldn't be worried.
Hey,
Okay.
Grace
Chopi, we
ametupatia
know the
solid
Chopi
food.
now.
Ati nini
Tukikunywa
Josephine?
maziwa. Grace ametupatia solid food tukikunywa maziwa.
Lakini wacha ya kule githeri. Unajua sisi bado
I
tuko
know.
kwa Cerelac. Wacha ya
I
mumunywe
know.
githeri.
Hata hatujafika pizza.
Okay. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Grace. The next person is Ibrahim. Ibrahim, were you in the last class? I think you might have joined a bit late.
Yes, I joined a bit late last time.
All right. So what we're doing is just to revise or to remind ourselves how the previous class was. What is it that you can remember? And if at all you got engaged with the time series, what is your general expectation? Because I know after a session like this one, you might be triggered. You might develop more interest, and you might go and do more research and try implementing something like now Grace did. And you might be having specific questions. So if that is the case, then you're free to just spend say 3 minutes to tell us about it, and start by just telling us what you remember about the previous class. Over to you, Ibrahim.
Okay, sure. Okay. So I don't think I'm going to say much, but I think I would expect from the sessions to learn about like basically time series and the models and the various ways of running models, I guess. So I would say I've learned a bit about the various models that are there, like the ARIMA model, and then some basic properties of time series, I would say. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think I also looked at something to do with the univariate and multivariate time series.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would love to understand more about that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Okay. We will quickly go to Josephine. You are the first one. I know Nelly and Shitemi you are not in, but I would like to hear your expectation. If you have any queries, if you'd want me to just do a recap of the last class in 5 or so minutes, I would want to hear from you guys as well as Shitemi. But Nelly, over to you.
Hi guys. Last time I was in class, I think I just didn't finish the session. I left like 20 minutes to time.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
Yes.
But you followed through, yes?
Yes, the whole time I followed through.
Ah, all right. I don't know why I had an impression. Which class did you miss? Was it your, are you also in NLP?
Today's NLP is what I
Ah,
missed.
all right. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa, sawa. Shitemi, were you also in the other class?
Yes, yes, I was present.
Ah, okay. All right. Me basi nalala. Where I'm seated, it looks like I keep dozing off. What can you tell us about your take home for last week, as well as your general expectation?
You're boring yourself.
I'm boring myself, yes.
Okay, I'm a beginner, so I don't know much. But last time we introduced time series and demand forecasting. I understood that it's using historical data to be able to predict future events, and we settled on a project based on service instead of, yeah, there are several projects, but we settled on the one that about service provision. Yes, I hope by the end of this I'll have a full understanding of demand forecasting and foundation in data science in general.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, actually what you guys have said is pretty much it. Kuna mtu anaingia meeting akitoka, sijui anangoja iishe ndio asiongee. Deno, you keep in and out of the meeting. Keep in and out of the
meeting. Now,
yes, go ahead.
At the end of the class, I hope to be capable of doing an demand forecasting or time series project from the beginning to the end. My takeaway from the last class is that we introduced and settled on a project. And also I learned kuwa hoho inaitwa capsicum kwa Kiingereza.
Ninapenda watu wa Kiambu.
So and today I've been today we are doing inaitwa aje exploratory data analysis and visualization. Yeah. I've done a few of that, but I don't know how to interpret most of them. So I was hoping to get insights on that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have pretty much summarized the previous class, and you're very, very right. What we covered, we discussed like 7 projects, as Shitemi has mentioned. We settled on one, and it was a proposal by Faith. Faith is in it. Okay, it was a proposal by Faith. The main thing that was that made us settle on the project was for us guys to be a bit unique and different while we learn and look at a niche or within a space that has not been explored yet. And forecasting in service has not been explored as much. And if it has been explored, then it is being explored by the big corporates who have internal data scientists and they are mandated. And some of these big corporates, whenever they involve in such projects, there's some information that they cannot, is not available to the public. So if you ever wanted to learn how to do demand forecasting, then you'll have to first get employed. But the bad thing is, before you get employed, you need to have experience. So basically you're stuck in between. Yeah, but thank God through such sessions, you'll get experience and you'll talk like a pro. And that is my hope and prayer, that at the end of this, when I hear you guys explain demand forecasting to any other person, I'll just be smiling and I'll be very happy. And that is my objective. My objective is to make sure that you guys are comfortable with the demand forecasting to some level, and this project will take us there. Okay, so just a quick summary to the specific project is a service. It's a service industry. So basically a service is when you're providing information as a service, but I don't want to really spoil this. I'll give Faith 3 minutes to just tell us what, because this was her idea, to just tell us what it's about and what we intend to do at the end of this. Faith. Just 3 minutes.
Yes, are you? No, I'm laughing.
I know why you're laughing, but just go ahead.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, I'm laughing because after the class, I actually went and thought about it, and I'm trying not to bring in new ideas or to to shortchange what I said last time.
All right.
So yeah,
just go ahead. We want to hear that.
The laugh is enough to sell myself out. So we're looking at demand forecasting. So the basic one was about forecasting of a product, is it? So we look at a product and forecast its sales maybe within the next 1 year or so. And so now we changed from product to a service. So as a service, we are looking at how viable is this service, how often is the provider able to provide this service, and how quick are they able to come in case of any issues, and if there's how quick are they able to tell a customer's loyalty to that product or to that service, sorry. And also if there was a new service, how viable would they be able to get into the new service? And we're looking at case study of Zuku.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me pick it from there. Thank you very much, Faith. So, excuse me. When you look at Zuku, they are offering service internet, and all of us right now we are having this class because we all need internet. So when you're in the service industry, you stand a chance of making a lot of money right now, especially if you're offering internet. But then there is one thing that normally goes with demand. You are most likely to lose all those customers as soon as you get them, because maybe you are not ready to offer that service. So when you advertise, oh, I'm giving out internet, I'm selling internet, and then all of a sudden you have an avalanche of customers subscribing to your service, and then you realize, oh, my network cannot support this. Within a short time, you start having complaints, and how fast do you respond to those complaints? And then you start having customers who have been with you for a month, 2 months, starting to churn. And when they churn, they go to competition. Now you lose your customers to competition, not because competition is better, but because you don't listen. For example, they complain and you don't listen. They are never there. So your competition might not be offering a standard service, but just because they tried reaching out to you, and you never listened, and they've complained so many times, they end up going to competition where they are being heard. Okay, so how then do you forecast who is most likely to call me or to reach out to me next week, for instance? Who is most likely to leave to buy or upgrade the service that I'm offering? So that whenever you predict with some level of certainty, if I was about to upgrade my service with you, all you need to do is to dangle a carrot and I will upgrade sooner. If I was planning to upgrade maybe in October, you dangle a carrot and I upgrade like next month. So it's because you're ahead of me. Yeah, it's like you've seen my patterns, the number of times I call the call center, and the number of times I complain, the number of times I appreciate your services. Yeah, and you are ahead of me. So you are predicting what I'm likely to decide. That is one. Okay. So service industry is very, very peculiar, and some of these things give direct value to businesses. And I remember the demand forecasting for products was a bit of cliche because it's being done. It's been done. So you'll be on the spot to differentiate of what value you're going to offer as compared to what the other people are offering. But if you explain demand with regards to service and you immediately attach customer churn to any business, then they are most likely to listen to you because You're forecasting and giving the business an opportunity to be proactive and not reactive to customers' issues. So by being proactive is like you can predict what your customer is going through and respond accordingly. Now, I've put that into context. Immediately after that, what we are going to go through right now is some of the, we will gradually introduce the theories or the terminologies of time series in general, as well as demand forecasting. So it will just, we are going to be unwrapping, or rather unpacking it, like slowly by slowly. And I will revisit what time series is. And I'm going to do this using notebook. So even through this notebook, I'll revisit what time series is and the types of time series. Introduce a bit of pandas, because we are going to be doing pandas manipulation, and in particular, date and time, how to manipulate date and time. And the reason why I am structuring it this way, because were you to learn pandas, the pandas is very, very huge. If you are to learn Python, Python is very, very huge. So going to class to learn Python, because you want to build a model, according to me, is a waste of time. Yeah, and you can quote me. If you want to learn how to build a model, according to me, think of the problem that you want to solve, and then get the fastest way to try and solve it, even not to the satisfaction of whoever wants you to solve that problem. Yeah, in this case, we want to build a machine learning model. That's it. We want to build a machine learning model that does certain prediction. Students, let's have two students. Student A would want to enroll to a Python class and spend, say, because he's sharp and IQ is very, very good, he can go through a Python class, and in a week, he's good in Python. And then he says, now I'm good in Python, and now I want to learn pandas. And then the next week, he learns pandas, or he or she learns pandas, yeah? And by the way, this is an A student. This is someone with she's very, very sharp at picking up things. So in 2 weeks, he or she knows pandas, he or she knows Python. And then he now says, okay, now I've gotten this, now I want to learn the algorithm. This person, because you need to know statistics, you need to know mathematics, now he enrolls into a statistics class. Because he or she is good, 3 weeks learning statistics, okay? In 3 weeks, he or she has learned maths, Python, pandas, and statistics. Those are 3 weeks. And then the last week, he or she was also told, you need very, very good in calculus and linear algebra and a couple of more mathematics, okay? No problem. So 4 weeks. So 4 weeks, he has achieved all the prerequisites, right? And then after that, delivers a model in another week. So let's say the turnaround time is 5 weeks, okay? Let's look at student number 2, student B. Now, student B, the objective of this student is to write a model that can do prediction and understand that the prediction it's doing, it's to a certain accuracy level. Now, student B says, what is my environment? I need to install Anaconda. He gets a laptop, installs Anaconda. Hii Anaconda nilikuwa na expect kuona nyoka, lakini sio ni nyoka. Naona kitu inakaa notebook hapa. What does it do? Naona cells, okay. The commands. If I want to run a command to import library, how do I do it? And which library do I need? You need this and this and this. You import, you run, okay. I've imported, all right. Where do I get the data? It has to be an Excel sheet, okay. In what format? All right, fine. Doi, nimeweka hapo, nimesha import. Ndio inaitwa data frame, okay, yeah. Ndio inaitwa data frame. Now, ni nini nifanye? So I think you guys get the idea, yeah? Student B is driven by a certain specific objective. So he gets notebook, he gets the data, he imports it, and he or she learns exactly what needs to be learned to deliver the model. So you narrow your learning within the scope of your objective. And I relate a lot with that because in the industry, you're given a very short time to deliver something. employer hataki kujua unahitaji degree hata ukiweka kwanza akikulipia certification, the pressure will double or triple. Na ukizubazuba kidogo kuna mwingine ataingizwa. In the real industry, there is no patience. They want results. So this method is the one that I would recommend anyone to take. And with this, the Python that we are going to cover is going to be Python that is going to help us learn and understand time series as soon as possible. The pandas you're going to learn is the one that is going to help us understand and interpret and deliver a time series or demand forecasting model as soon as possible. It does not prevent you from going outside the boundaries, but go outside the boundaries after delivering a model. That is what I would recommend, because you will iterate. And some of this learning, it needs to be driven by the objective you want to achieve. You will learn faster. Having said that, we've mentioned time series, what it is. So if you guys allow me, time series is basically you take a specific observation, and in this case we might want to observe something very, very specific. For instance, we want to see the stocks or let's pick a company. I can't think of any other. Let's speak of Safaricom, for instance. It's listed in the stock exchange. Ever since it gave out its IPO, we want to observe how has the shares been fluctuating. So whatever we are observing is shares, very, very specific shares. So what you're observing is shares for Safaricom from day 1 to day X, or to day N-1. N-1 was yesterday, and day N is today. So we want to look at how has Safaricom shares changed over time. So for as long as you're making an observation over time, that is time series. It's just an observation of sequential data of the same over a certain period of time. Yeah. So the X variable is always time. That is what makes it different from regression problems, other regression problems. But it is a regression problem. So for as long as the X variable is, the X is now the independent variable is always time, then that becomes a time series problem. All right. Now we go to the next thing. How many types of time series? I've given you guys a hint that as long as you're observing one item over a period of time, then it becomes a univariate time series. But the moment you add a couple of more items, like now 2 or 3, like in the case that Enrico has mentioned, it's very, very complex, and I agree with him. We are going to be observing several patterns over a period of time. So we will simulate within the context of Zuri, what are these things, yeah? Because in the service industry, you could have either complaints of, you could be offering internet bundles, and these internet bundles or internet, you've created, there is gold and there is silver and there is platinum. And then in those gold, silver and platinum, you have different rates for different regions. Ukiona pale Karen, au watu ni madata tu, lakini kuna watu wenye wanaishi Karen, lakini pia budget iko tight. So you create a very unique package for the guys in Karen. If you come lower to Upper Karen, hapa karibu na Upper Karen, huku kwingine inaitwa, yeah, inaanza na Kibera. Hapa, by there, I've lived in Kibera, so my brothers and sisters over there. So if you want to, unasema nini Eriko?
Kona.
Kona, we wacha bana. Kona. Boss. Wacha tutavisit you baadaye. But when you come now to, so basically what I'm trying to say is, for every specific region, you as a company might decide, let me bundle this, the same product, but I sell it differently. And it's not surprising, it's practiced even in products. You might find that ile mkate tu wewe ununua, maybe you've never given it a lot of thought. But if you go to Nakumatt or Junction, You walk into one of the supermarkets there and you buy a piece of bread, and then you come, just Ngong Road, you come down here and you walk to another supermarket, buy the same bread, you might find a difference in pricing. Get? So based on those regions, you might see that because of that, trying to focus a multivariate and factoring in either the location and the specific product, and then how the demand is flowing, it gets complex because you need to look at how is the demand of guys shopping from Junction different from the demand guys shopping from Hurlingham or even South B. You need to factor in, and how does this correlate? So that becomes a multivariate time series. And since our x variable, the independent variable, is always and will always be time, then the pandas we need to know as a matter of urgency is manipulating date and time. Remember, the reason why we need to do that is when you have date and time in Excel sheet, more often than not, it is stored as string. And it's in different format. Kuna ingine ziko // kuna ingine iko minus, kuna ingine iko na plus, kuna ingine ina time. It only has date. So for instance, you have date. Today is 23rd July 2020. Jana ilikuwa 24th. Now, you might have a situation where your data has only dates, but the problem you're solving, it needs to be based on time. Another thing is, you might be having data based on time, but the problem you're solving is based on dates. How then do you manipulate and pre-process your data to show or to align with what you actually need? All right? That is the reason why the learning that we're going to do, it's going to be biased towards sharpening our skills with date manipulation when it comes to Python and Pandas, okay? Okay, just give me a minute. I'm just gonna have to do something. I'm getting distractions. That's one problem with working or teaching from home. Just give me a minute. Okay, guys, sorry for that. I hope we are together. If I am losing you, please use the chat. I'll take a break and just listen to your question and we move on. If we are good, you could just type there following and we move on, all right? Now, with Python, there is something, one thing I thought is important to just understand. How do you now use, how do you then use dates? Give me a minute. Okay, because of the importance of the date time, you need to know from where do you import the date and what other thing can you use with regards to Python. So there is import date time and there is a parser. So parser is just like splitting the date time, putting it into an object and splitting it into, if you look at this, in specific values, yeah, the year, the month, and the day, and the other ones, yeah. So if you want to get, you're passing the date string to a parser. So there are instances where you will need this. It's just good to know. And importing the date and time, that is the command you use, okay? From datetime, import datetime. There is a difference between Python's datetime and NumPy's datetime. For Python datetime, it's limited to, it has some limitation, especially for you to do datetime manipulation and generation of dates. For instance, with NumPy, you are able to do additional manipulation, and that is now one of the explanations for the definition behind NumPy. It's a scientific library for doing scientific manipulations. Now, if you look at datetime, can you pick a date, for instance, and add a counter? It will automatically generate additional dates. For instance, the example I picked is you have a date variable, say for instance it is today, and then you want to add 12 days from today. You just need to add datetime plus NP, this is NumPy, a range 12. Yeah. So with Python you can do the same by use range, NumPy, a range. So there is an understanding of the difference between how you achieve this within Python and within NumPy is really key. And what I'm trying to say here is, or rather, I'm giving you guys a tip on the next assignment. One of it is going to be just playing around with this date range and being comfortable. It is actually, if you really want to see the outcome of this, don't just be waiting for every Thursday. Get some time and play around with this notebook and get comfortable, so that when we are building solutions, when we are asking for ideas, okay, because we will get stuck. We will get stuck. How do we do this? How do we do this? So prepare yourself so that when we get stuck, we have a lot of ideas streaming in. How about, and when you do that, then you sharpen your skills. You sharpen your skills and you get better, right? All right, Pandas, okay? Now, I know most of you guys have worked with Pandas because I don't think there is anyone here who's not written a Jupyter Notebook before. Shitemi, I think most of these guys have attended my previous sessions. Stanley and Shitemi, I'm not so sure. Shitemi, do you want to confirm?
What was the question?
The question is, have you you've used Pandas before, even for basic?
No.
Not yet, huh? Okay, all right, yeah. Not a problem. Stanley, how about you?
Well, I've not really used it, but I can revisit your previous session.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. You could do that, and whenever you get stuck, because you're just slightly behind the rest, then you need to like move a bit faster than them. So saa zile wanalala, wewe unasoma Pandas. Wakiamka mko pamoja. Wakirudi kulala, wakirudi kulala unasoma Python. Sawa sawa?
Haina noma, I will.
Okay, perfect. So, but when you get stuck, I know I can get really busy, but when you get stuck, just keep knocking. I've had experience with Nelly, but she never gave up. Mpaka she got a solution. Faith naye hata story yake. Faith, one funny thing with Faith is she pushes me always, and then the next time she calls, or rather I call her back, she tells me, okay, I got it sorted. So she pushes it, and I'm like, Ayub, huyu, wacha nijaribu tena, and then she gets the solution. That should be the spirit. For as long as you have your eyes on the ball, if I'm not reachable, it is still upon you to get it done. If I'm reachable, I'll definitely help you out. So what I'm trying to say is push and go looking for the answers. Everyone should be at the same level. So for Shitemi and Stanley, tuko pamoja. The rest of the team as well are available. We're in the WhatsApp group. When you get stuck, please reach out. Usinyamaze peke yako. Now, I was in Pandas. So Pandas is a library that helps you manipulate data in, as you manipulate it, the intention is for you to look at the same data to give it different, to look at it differently. Think of it this way: you've bought, what have you bought? Something you want to admire. Someone give me a phone. Let's say you've bought a phone. You've always wanted a phone. You will unpack it, remove, check the charger, uangalie ile pin inatumika kuingiza SIM card, uangalie kama iko na cover, yani you're just exploring your phone and you're admiring it. So Pandas, that is exactly what it makes you do. Yeah, Pandas will enable you rotate the data, you know, mix it, view it in different angles. And the millennials have some very weird words. Who's a millennial here? Nelly. Siku zetu Gidi, siku zetu tulikuwa nasema unasorora ama Gidi, stop hiding. You're just as Zinjanthropus like me.
No, you're alone.
I'm alone. Okay.
You're using a word that makes me feel like I'm that old, bana.
All right.
Sorora imesha juzi tu.
Oh, but now what Pandas enables you to do is it gives you the ability to look at your data in different angles. Like you admire it, you get information about this, yeah. So you get the gist. So it is good to understand some of the function within Pandas. For instance, how do you convert string to date? Because that is important. For instance, how do you convert string to date? When you import your data into from Excel sheet into the Jupyter Notebook, for as long as you have it in string, you won't be able to do time series. Time series needs date time format. How then do you do that using Pandas? Yeah. Another thing is, how do you extract from that date? You might be told, okay, I need you to analyze this data from 2000 to 2020. Those are 20 years of records. That's a lot. How then do you split it? Like now I want to look at it year by year. I want to look at it month by month, and then I just look at it. You're just exploring. Like I said, Pandas inakusaidia tuku to mix and just check this data out. Yeah. Those are some of the functions. So it is good to actually get an idea of some of the tricks you can use by converting your data into a data frame using Pandas. So you convert all the data into a data frame using Pandas, and this is what we call a data frame. So in the data frame, you can do things like you pass the start date, and then you pass the end date, and then it will tell you, yeah, based on the range that you've given me, this is the output. So ni usororaji tu tunafanya bado na tunaangalia data, right? You can also pick, I only want 2000, year 2000, okay? And you get to see it. So manipulating data with Pandas is very important. And that is why any data scientist needs to be comfortable with Pandas, and any data scientist needs to be comfortable with Python. But the approach that most institutions take does not work with the expectation of kwa ground. Kwa ground vitu ni different. Unapewa shida leo, in 2 weeks you need to have delivered it. So there is no time of reading all that broad. You need to focus on the challenge ahead of you. And whatever challenge is ahead of you should be the basis of everything that you learn. Hii vitu zingine zikiingia inafaa zitoke kwa ingine. Inaingia na hii masikio inatoka na ingine. Unasema wacha nitatue hii story ingine ya image classification. I will sort it out after I've sorted out this one. And that is why I was recommending that, especially for beginners, pick a project and focus on that one. After you've delivered one, that's the only time you can actually try combining 2 projects. But like I told Gidi earlier, it's going to be definitely available. When you get time, you can also go through the videos for other classes just to understand how other classes actually, are they as boring as this one, or are they exciting as this one, or yeah. So it's going to be available. All right, time series data structures. Time series data structures, it's exactly a bit of what I've mentioned. It's revolving around date and time. How do you convert date and time to the format that you want? Yeah, because you'll be playing around with date and time a lot. Yeah, because you're observing you're making the same observation over a long period of time. So this notebook has a lot of things that you could do. For instance, converting dates into timestamp, like this one, cell number 11. And then cell number 12 does the same thing. converting a list into dates, because check this out. Now this is a list, and for those guys who are new to Python, when I'm talking about a list and a dictionary, it's also important to learn what is the difference between a list and a dictionary in Python. Yesterday we had a very lengthy discussion when we were talking about a certain word Enrico was struggling with in NLP for when we were being taught, and the understanding of lists was very, very handy. So someone might mention some of these things and you wouldn't know until you actually see it being applied, and then you will see the value and whatever time you need to use either a list or a dictionary. So for a Python list, if you see anything in a bracket like this one, this brackets, let me select the first one here. Can you guys see, or should I maximize? Is that better?
That's better.
All right, perfect. So if I put this, this is the beginning of the list and this is the end of the list. So if you see anything with these brackets, whatever is inside here are the list items, and the list items are separated with a comma. So in this list, we have dates, and check this out. We have dates in different formats. That, different formats. But when you do it to date time, all of them are converted to the same format. Assume that you are handling an Excel sheet with date field, and some data entry clerks decide anaongeza data hivi, anaongeza hivi, mwingine anakapcha hivi, na wengine hata hawaweki date, wanaacha blank. Now, those are the people who make our life very difficult and very miserable. But unfortunately, that is the reality on the ground. Data is never clean. It is never clean. Okay? Maybe because the date was not available when it was asked for. Now, for you, you need a technique within which to standardize these dates. This is just one of them. It makes your life easier. Just a single line of code and you do this. If you did not know this and you were faced with this problem, you'd probably try and do it from Excel and then import it into Excel after having struggled for, let me say, 2 days, converting it. Let me see. Kuna mtu anafungua roho. Have you been there before? Wacha tuone chat kuna nini.
What do you do when the list is big? But I'm quite curious on
Yes, Eric.
one thing also.
Uh-huh.
Like don't scroll. Go back up.
Okay.
Yes. In Lat 11.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, how do you know which one is the month, which one is the day?
Oh, okay. I think it's default. There is normally a default setting for Python, and that is what is used in your notebook. So when you're setting up your environment, so if you change, there is even a function in Python that you can actually manipulate, change the format. But visually, I think when you do the conversion, that's the only time you can pick it out. Visually, there are some people who would say it is 7th of August. Other people would say it is 8th of July. This cell 11. But when you convert it this way, which is which? Is it still straight? Or is it 8th of August or 8th of July?
Good question.
So I think the clarity comes in when either, and by the way, it's good you've mentioned this, huh? When you're doing your notebook and you have date ranges, you could even define at the top your date format, yeah? Because Python and the data that is being provided might be in East African time zone, or the way the British write their data and the way the American write their dates is different. So when you're doing that and you're presenting it, your audience could be a mix of both. So one person would be following you with 8th of July, another person would be following you with 7th of August. And then at the end, your conclusion will not sync with one of them, and it will be a problem. So in such cases, what I would recommend is for you to take note of the time zone, especially when you're now working with, you have date and time. So these are not zero. They have values. So you need to actually specify the time zone as well as the date format. So everyone and anyone who is following your notebook follows well. And at the end of the conclusion, everyone is on the same page or the last page together. So hapo hivyo, for now, Eriko, you can put it 8th of July or 7th of August. It really doesn't matter for now. But when you be doing projects, it will be good for you to be specific. Tuendele? Eriko?
There was a question on the chat.
I was getting to that. Let me see. Let me open it again.
What do you do when the list is big?
When the list is big, there is part one of the answer is what I insinuated here. Part one of the answer, you can decide to analyze your data by splitting it into date ranges. So you don't put everything in the list, on the Python list, but you use a range to check it out. Where was that? Here. So you don't put everything. So you see, this is also a list, but now it's a data in a data frame. But now you've specified a range. So something similar, instead of having this, think of it this way: all these values are in one column in an Excel sheet. So instead of you having all this, defining all this in a data frame, this could be, if you know the start, it could be df. If you know the start to the last, something like that. I've not tried this, but I'm just saying this, something like this would work out. Yeah. So when the list is big, it is it's the machine learning engineer's nightmare to make sure that they know. And you see, that nightmare is made simpler by being comfortable manipulating date and time. So that is even one reason why you need to be good in Pandas and Python. So those are some of the tricks that you'll have to employ. So some guys are actually ahead, way ahead, because they're very comfortable with Pandas and Python. So something that you'll write a long function to handle, they'll write 2 lines of code and they're there. So any skill you acquire with time.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, please go ahead, Stanley.
Number 12, could highlight on number 12 that there's someone asked that, what do you know which day first and month first?
Yes.
So if we did month first, that would be on from 8 and 7. Can it be in a way to determine which comes first between day and month or something?
Just come again, you're asking?
Okay, someone asked,
yes.
How do you know where is the month or which is the day, right? Now here I saw something like creating timestamp from strings. So can this be like we put month first, then that will be from A or something?
Yes, let's do this. Let me teach you another trick to figure out what options you can go through in a notebook. Will I have to run this one? Okay, let me run all the cells from the top. Cell or run all above. I want to show you something. Okay, 11. There. All right. So when you do Shift and you double tap, you can do day first, year first, month first. I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it. I can see day first and year first. So my assumption, my assumption would be you do this, and then you define year first. Let's see what this will give us. Wacha tujaribu. Yeah, it gives.
All right.
But we don't have month first.
Okay.
Can you try that with the year the way it was, like without changing that?
Okay, let's try. Year first. So we put year first here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try. Same.
Okay.
Weird. It's weird, huh? Let's check the output.
I think
Let's check.
that just determines the output you are getting, not
Yes,
how
not the format not the format
not
on
the format you have entered.
Yes. Okay. Guys, this is how people learn. That was I had to illustrate that. This is how people learn. So you look at something, and you, as long as you can figure out, shift double tap, what are some of the documentation, and it has description here. So day first, specify a date parser. If argument is string or it's like it's list like, if true passes dates with the day first. So 10, 11, 12 is passed as day first is 2012, 11, and 10. Day first is true is not strict, but we
It is
prefer.
saying the input you have entered, yeah.
And then
So
here
7
first,
is the date.
yeah. So here first, you check that. So if you're stuck, that is something else you can go. Instead of going to, before you go to Stack Overflow, you can go here first. Jupyter normally has these things. You can read through, okay? Haya. Tuko pamoja?
Yes.
Yep.
Good stuff. I need to check on people here. Grace? Unajua Grace anaweza kuwa ameshatoka na pika. Okay. Grace anaweza kuwa anatoka amepika. We need to confirm that she's still around. Deno?
amelala.
Deno? I need to ping once in a while.
There's no internet problem.
Deno I'm lost. Okay. Atarudi tu. So let's move on. Huh? So basically, what I was trying to say is your skills and expertise needs to revolve around date, time, and pandas. Yeah. So in the next week, if you can get yourself exercises to learn about date, time, pandas, and how to manipulate those exclusively, you'll be doing yourself a lot of favor. A lot of favor. Okay. Deno amesema yuko hapa, so sijui labda ni bundles. Deno, don't worry. One day bundles zitakaa mingi sana. There's another thing. You can convert the list of dates into period. You guys will have to go through this notebook and rewrite it and understand them. Okay. Another thing you need to check is sequences. Yeah, I've mentioned some of them. Your date range. It could be a period range. It could be a time delta range. So the differences is explained. So date range, you're providing the dates between, you want to put all the dates within a certain period by offering, specifying the start and the end dates. Yeah. When it comes to period, the difference between that, you don't define in a period, you don't define the end date, you just define the start and you specify the period. Like now, if it's for date range and the period is 8, so it means you want 8 dates including 3rd of July, 2015. Excuse me. And then when you specify the frequency being D, it means you want the frequency to just return dates. Check out the difference. Frequency between D, by default frequency is D. When you change it now to H, it includes hourly. Yeah. So these are some of the things you can play around with. Very, very handy when you're handling time series. It's very, very important that you get to see this. All right. You can specify the same date range, but now period range, but now specifying month. Okay. So month, you forget about the day, and then you can now check on the same observation month on month. So when you're working with time series and you're looking at that observation, if someone wants you to study month on month changes of the shares, Safaricom shares, then you will quickly just be able to plot a graph month on month, and also maybe filter observation specific to those months. Time delta, instead of the month and date, you specify by default periods, you specify the date. Let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. Start, end, period, frequency, name, closed. So when you will be going through this notebook, please get time and play around with this. Yeah. Is it getting tired, boring? I'll assume to Kopoa. There are so many other reporting periods that are made available from Pandas, and as you filter, yeah, not just from within Pandas, not just the date range and the period. Okay, following, good stuff. Okay, not just the date range where you spend either, you specify either the date, but you could even do things like quarter. There are some times when you're looking at the quarterly report of a certain observation. So in this case, if you're looking at the shares of Safaricom, and we choose not to look at it quarter by quarter. From 2000 to 2020, those are 20 years. So you might want to like now break it down a bit, and there are terms for that. When you're breaking it down, there are terms for that, specific terms for that. So you do quarter by quarter, you can specify that. Yeah, business quarter start, business year start, the quarter. Yeah. So I made this available in this notebook. Let it be like a pivot where if you want to advance now your understanding of how you can pull quarter by quarter, month by month, it's going to come in handy when we're analyzing that data. It's going to come in very, very handy when you're analyzing that data. What is the difference between plotting a daily trend graph for the 20 years? Would it make even sense out of it? What is the impact? How does that change from daily to monthly, yearly? Yearly, it means we have 20 data points. That would be a bit easier to look at, but it will hide some information because maybe there are some changes that happens within the year that we need to be aware of. So yearly by yearly might not be so good if we want to see something that we'll come to learn about either seasonality or the trend. So if we want to look at the trend of a specific year, then we cannot trend yearly by yearly. But if we want to look at the trend of all the 20 years, then we can decide, let's do yearly by yearly and do a trend, okay? So we will come to that term. Just hold your thought, I will revisit that. So that is one other advantage of being good at Pandas and how to manipulate data, or specifically time and dates with Pandas. Yeah, okay, all right. So I think and I hope that you guys appreciate the level of importance of you to understand how to manipulate date and time. Because if you don't do that, if you don't know or don't understand, you won't be able to solve a time series problem. You won't. And if you do, it will be after a lot of struggle. So the most important skill of you and of anyone when solving a time series or demand forecasting problem is how comfortable are you with Pandas, and to be specific, with date manipulation. So you can now look for, I've given you a hint, you can now create yourself a tutorial or to-do list where tomorrow you will learn this, the following day you learn this. By the time we are coming back to our class, you've learned 1, 2, 3. If you can't do that, then I could summarize it and give it to you guys to make sure that by the time you're coming back to the class, you'll be comfortable doing each one of those, right? Wacha tuende kwa data exploration. When you're exploring data, you need to think of what are some of the things that you want to look out for in the data. One obvious thing would be, how has the shares been shifting year after year? And then how has it been shifting month after month, quarter after quarter? So you want to see how it changes. Day on day on such a big data set might make absolutely no sense. And it will give you a lot of headache in terms of processing capability. And like I said, it's going to have a specific name. You will just know that name in a short while. Yeah. So if we go through some of the question in context, let's put it into context to the problem we want to solve. And the problem we want to solve, we are looking at demand. And let's assume this demand is all the inquiries and complaints coming through to call centers, to Zuku's call center. Yeah. So you have complaints about gold Zuku. You have complaints about silver Zuku, platinum Zuku. Watu wagani wa hizi products wanapenda tu kucomplain? Is it platinum? Is it gold? Watu wagani crucial wanapenda, they spend money. They don't complain, but they spend money. So these are the people you want to be able to predict. So that because these people who don't complain, but they spend, maybe the day they will complain, that would be the day wanaenda. No matter, regardless of what you give them, they will go. So these are the people you might want to be able to predict with some precision, just to confirm that they are okay. So these are some of the decisions that needs to guide you in what value do you want to give any company, okay? How does demand vary with seasons of the year? How is demand typically highest or lowest? Is it December? Is it January? Complaints uzidi Friday or Monday? How does channel demand, product demand compare over time? For instance, si upiga makelele sana. Wanatumanga SMS, ama wanaenda Facebook, ama wanaenda Twitter, ama wanakuja kwa ofisi. It will be good for you to understand that these noisemakers, where do they come from? If the noisemakers, majority of them walk into your office, my friend, you need to do something, because these people, they have left their home, they've come to your office to make a complaint. These are the people, if you don't sort them out, they will move. So it is also we need to know who are these people, which channel do they complain most? Or rather, which channel has the most complaints? Or which channel has the most sales? We can also look at it, which channel has the most sales? Watu wa Facebook ni wale wenye ununua tu. Au ununua tu wako poa. Watu wa Twitter ni wa kununua tu. So if watu wa Facebook na watu wa Twitter ni wa kununua tu, they don't complain, au ni wa kununua tu, then you'll know where exactly to make an advertisement. You won't take an advertisement to the shop. You'll take an advertisement where? To Twitter and to Facebook, so that more people buy. Okay? So that is the value you're giving any company. That is the value you're giving any company. Nimeongea sana. Wacha tuanze let's go through the notebooks. This is standard. Cell number 24, we are importing the data. So for Shitemi and for Stanley, this is what I was talking about. Pandas, you will go through this. The first thing, if you must know anything about Pandas, for today, know how to import it from Excel sheet into a data frame. Yeah, and for you to do that, there are some libraries that we imported here. The very, very top, this ones. This is how you import the libraries. Yeah, Pandas and NumPy, and there are so many. These are just 4. But as we advance, we will be adding more and more, depending on what we want to achieve. So when you scroll down here, you can see all along we've been using Pandas library to manipulate dates, all along. But now we are going to use Pandas to import the data. Yeah. So there are certain parameters that you use to import the data during the import process. It saves you a lot of headache when you go down. One of the parameters is past dates. So past dates is basically converting it from string to dates. We've seen the importance of doing that. And then you specifying index column equals to 0. You're specifying the column within which the date column for the column in which you've stored the date variable, the date values. Okay. Okay, so we have the first Excel sheet for demand and the second one for test, for training and test. So for today, we're just going to discuss train. We're just going to discuss train. And as we advance, you'll see how the other ones come in. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, since our the most important column we are handling is dates, we need to check if we have any null values. But in this case, I did check if we have null values for the entire data set, and the result was false. That command is one single command that helps you check for any null values. All right, so there are different ways of checking. You can go column by column. You can go for a certain range. You want to work with a specific range. So it's up to you as an ML engineer. What needs to drive you is your objective, what you want to achieve. Now, the next thing you need to do is to check how much data do I have. In this case, we have 913,000 records. Yeah. This data set, I pulled a simulation of, I've simulated data set from Kaggle. This is pretty much a very, very clean data set. With demand, I didn't know how to get a dirty data set. If you wanted to learn NLP class, they are working with a very, very dirty data set. So we are going to learn a lot of data cleaning, but you don't need to worry about that. Once you complete demand forecasting, you can always go through the videos for NLP and learn what we went through. Because it is, I can assure you, those guys in this class that are on NLP, it is going to be a nightmare. So, yeah, okay. You need to check how many observations that we have. So it's 913,000 records. This is good enough for us guys to learn all the basics of demand forecasting or time series in that sense. And splitting the data, there is need to check if there is any gaps. Now, this becomes interesting. Yeah, you might, in that data set, let's say you have 913,000 records. And according to you, you have dates for 5 years. I think this is 5 years. So let's assume it's 2015 all the way to 2020. Yeah. So if it is 2015 to 2020, the assumption, in between, maybe you are missing data for 3 months or even 1 year. How would you know? So it is important to validate that the time periods within your data set is consistent. So you're not missing, you don't have any gaps. Because when you have a gap, when you'll be checking on the trend and seasonality, you might think that it's the trend of the behavior you're observing, but in reality, it's the lack of data. There is a gap. So if you don't do that, you will complete your model with a gap translated as a trend. Yeah, because gaps cannot be seasonal. A gap translated as a trend, and it would be a problem. So the code that you're looking at helps you figure out if there is any consistency. So the first thing you need to do is extract the train out, and then using this formula, for example, this one is basically you're assigning your period. You're looking at 5 years, and each year has 365 days, and each day has 24 hours. So you're assigning that. Yeah. So what you want to do, how many hours, if there is no gap, how many hours are you working with? How many hours of that data are you working with without any gap? So that is what you're doing here. And if you look at it, it is 43,800 hours. And your data set has 43,801. Now that 1 hour, it could be because of, this one is acceptable, if you ask me. It could be because of either the last date ended on 30th, 11 p.m. for whatever reason, yeah, the date would be. But if you had a 43,800 hours and your data set is showing you that period you're looking at, it's only giving you 20,000, do you apple? There's a problem. Before you proceed, you need to check out and investigate where the problem is, okay? Now, this is normal, where we just explore. Remember, we had passed our date, so our index column is this, and it has already been changed.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. In checking the data, how would you know if you have duplicate?
Okay.
The same number of hours.
Yes, now that's a good question. For duplicates, you'll have to run there is a duplicate command for running. I didn't check that. I didn't check, but it's very, very important to check duplicates, right? So it's a very, very good thing to check. There are so many things you need to check. I didn't check for duplicates.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm thinking let me take note of that. Mjipatie tu kazi. I'm creating your homework and assignments. So Gidi, thanks to you, my friend. Thank you. So checking duplicates.
Thanks.
Mshukuru Gidi. Na kitu ingine, kila mtu lazima afanye hizi vitu. And by the way, the reason why data science cannot be a one-man show, it's a team sport, it's because of what just happened. I did not check duplicates. Gidi saw this and he brought it up. And probably someone else would see something different and bring it. And together, we will have, by the time we are delivering a model, we will have explored almost everything. So data science has never been and will never be a one-man job. Okay? So the skills of an individual it's not because he's done it alone. The skills of an individual is derived from the team he works with. So if you see someone is good in something, especially is good in data science, it's because he's working with so many people. He's solving a lot of problems. But if and by the way, if you want to know good data scientists and good machine learning engineers, just try and look at their team in terms of who they work with and what they come up with. It will give you an idea of their level of expertise. And it's because this is not me saying, this is the game speaking. And the game is the game of data science and machine learning. So those are some of the tricks. Thanks, Gidi, for that. All right. If you have any other question, just go ahead and bring it up like Gidi did, and then we will take note. And then as we move forward, we are always sure that we are not leaving anything behind. We are picking all the important aspects. So this data, when we imported it, it had the normal dates. And when we passed, because of that variable here, past dates, this one, it is already converted and it is made as an index. So another thing that you need to do to know is time series data, you must convert the date column to an index of your data set. So if you look at it this way, it means it's an index, yeah? And now your variable are listed above, yeah? Okay? So as an index, you can never access an index column using df. So for instance, if this is your data frame, if you wanted to now display a list of dates, let me see. No. I need to run all above. Let me do run all above. It will take some time, but it's going to finish. At some point, I stopped running the cells. Wow, the time we started late. You guys just be patient with me. I think we can break. We started at the class was scheduled to start at 6:30. I think we started some minutes to 7. So I request to extend by 20 minutes. So I think in the next 20 minutes we will have covered a lot. We might not have finished, but we will have covered a lot, especially the important terminologies and the fundamentals. Ile wimbo ya fundamentals iliendanga hapi. Yeah, it's always good to in anything you do, make sure you grasp the fundamentals. It's just like all these tall buildings that we see in town. If you've ever had an opportunity to just walk around and see how they do it, they first go a few feet down. Like unashindwa hii nyumba, huyu jamaa anatumia millions mingi kuenda chini. But it's a necessity. Lazima ende chini ndio aanze kupanda juu. Na asipoenda juu, huko chini ndio itashikilia juu. So in your data science career, hapa sasa ndio tunaenda chini. The fundamentals. Now, this is what I was saying. If you make your date column to be an index, you will never be able to access it this way. You see, it will tell you key error. Yeah, but you will see how to manipulate it and make a trend in the cells that are coming through. Okay, so let's run that. Now I said univariate has single variable, and in this case, now this data frame of ours, I'm thinking, what I had in mind is we look at the channel. It could be 3 or 4 or 5 channels, and the channel would be in how many ways could Zuku's services be accessed? Or if we want to even twist it better, nothing is preventing us from doing this for Twiga. Twiga is opening up and branching out. If you're ever going for an interview, these people advertise for interviews. You complete this and you are asked in that interview, how many machine learning models have you done? You say, I've done demand forecasting. Okay, tell us about it. Blah, 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 blah. Unafungua roho mpaka unashanga. Unaweza sema now this channel, it's like now the branches, the retail store. So it would only mean that you understand the structure of Twiga Foods, how many branches there are, how their distribution, the way they distribute their food. And then the product inaweza kuwa ni avocado, inaweza kuwa ni apple, inaweza kuwa ni sukuma wiki, alafu demand ni kwa hiyo store ya Ngong Road. On 1st of January 2013, 13 people bought avocado. I hope we're on the same page. Now, this is our data set that we're building. So on 1st of January 2013, Ngong Road, avocado, watu walinunua 13. On 2nd, 11. On 3rd, 14. On 4th, 13. On 5th, 10. So unaona una observe your avocado. Or if it is service, the way we are doing it, the reason why I told you guys, whether it's product or service, you at the end of the class, you will still be able to deliver a time series problem. And if you choose product, you will just select this column. Yeah. So if in the case where we're looking at services, let's say Twiga Foods have a call center or they have a center for complaining, muliniletea avocado imeharibika. Yeah. So we see on 1st of January 2013, 13 people complained that avocado ilikuwa imeharibika. On 2nd, ilikuwa 11, just like that. So we are building our data set. For univariate series, we are only looking at the channel. So tunasema, hii data tunaangalia channel pekee. So you want to see how the growth, or in this case, of course, if we had different channels being recruited every day. For instance, if Twiga is recruiting kiosks, like now, kama hiyo kiosk iko karibu na kwako. If Twiga is recruiting kiosks every day, so they'll be growing on a daily basis as per number of channels. So today, wame-recruit watu wawili, kesho watu watatu. So univariate ni channel moja. Ni one variable. Multivariate ni sasa tunaangalia vitu mingi. So we want to look at the demand per product or per service, per channel. And this demand could be either acquisition or complaints or even churn. Even churn, you want to analyze churn. So that's the beauty of time series. Weka hapo kitu ile unataka kuobserve. You observe one thing over a long period of time. All right? Hapa sasa, some terminologies are coming through. Now we do a plot. Someone who doesn't understand a couple of things and someone who has not worked with a lot of data, like this is, we are plotting 933,000 observations in a single plot. You might think that something is wrong with my plot. In a cartoon, black, but in the ideal sense, a plot imeplotiwa. The only thing is, it is of high frequency. Yeah, high frequency. You're looking at this data on a daily basis. The frequency is too high. Yeah, so if you didn't know, you would spend maybe even a week or 2 weeks trying to figure out hii plot yangu mbona itoki poa. That plot umeplot vizuri sana. Okay. All right, I will unpack it in a few minutes. Univariate time series plot. That is it. Let's sample 100 records. The same univariate time series plot. We sample 100. Now this, we've reduced the size of data. Yeah, but we don't want to reduce the size of data. We want to analyze the entire data. We don't want to just sample. You know, when you're sampling, you're just taking a good representation of the entire data set, but now with less quantity. So this sample, if the sampling was not biased, then we would assume the trend of this product. What are we looking at? Univariate, plot with the size. Univariate was channel. Yes, we are looking at the channel. Yeah. So we would assume this is the general if the sampling was not biased. Yeah. Now, when you look at multivariate, we're looking at plotting all of them. So what I did is I changed the plots to different subplots. Now, when you're looking at, remember, the objective of your learning, and I need to emphasize this, the objective of your learning should be anchored to, whatever it is you learn should be anchored to your objective. And in this case, the objective is building a time series model. So we have a lot of things that we can do in terms of visualization. Yeah, we have a lot, but that is not our core objective, but we will do it. So the very, very first visualization, because you see, we have several tools of doing visualization that makes our life so easy. So we cannot spend a lot of time struggling with visualization. We can just find a library that helps us to visualize and we use it. At the end of this session, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you an idea of one of such built library that changes and makes life extremely simple. You guys would want to explore it in the course of the week as well. So the focus should always be, ni nini nafaa nifanye yenye boss wangu nisipofanya, I'll be on cross path with it. So the plotting I did was this, yeah, and this is the demand. You see now how it fluctuates. It is still of high frequency, but hapa hivi tunaangalia kakitu, okay? Tunaangalia something, lakini inakaa ni kama ni kama zile graphs huona za dunda. You see, when you're listening to music and you have your dashboard over there, either you're using VLC, Mazinjanthropos, Gideon, I think they're still using VLC. I don't know what millennials do use nowadays. Josephine, you sound like a millennial. When these graphs, they look like those musical thingies, but we want to see graphs, we want to see patterns, we want to see trends. We're not after looking at some musical graphs happening in the background. Yeah. So when we sample our multivariate, this is what comes up. Ni kama mtoto alikuwa anachora vitu zingine. So it still doesn't give us some good stuff. Okay. Now it introduces us to the next big topic, which is called resampling. How do we sample our data so that it is a good representation of the data, and we'll be able to infer trends, and we'll be able to infer seasonality, the terms that you're going to come across in a short while. Yeah. So there's this thing called sampling, and there are sampling techniques. So upsampling, there is upsampling, and there is downsampling. So whenever you have high frequency like this, when you have high frequency like this, you need to downsample. Yeah? When you have high frequency like this, you need to downsample. So downsampling, you're reducing the frequency. Basically, frequency observing, the observations is daily. That is very, very high frequency. But the moment you start reducing the frequency to maybe say monthly, you want to see quarterly, and then maybe yearly, you're reducing the frequency, and by reducing the frequency, you're doing something called downsampling. Sasa umeelewa what downsampling is with regards to time series. Kuna ingine inaitwa upsampling. Upsampling is the reverse. Assuming you have data in a day. For example, today, as guys, you're doing NLP, right? So I'll use that as an example. You mine your data, and you see that the data has, okay, of course it will have date and time, but assuming someone gave you date column, iko tu na leo, and then they tell you, these are the tweets we received today. Can you tell me how our customers are changing over time? Like now, from the time they wake up and then they contact us via Twitter, are they getting happier or are they getting sadder, if there is such a word? Wangoso mtanisamea. Are they getting sad or are they getting happy or happier? Okay, I'm sticking to the objective, and the objective is building a machine learning model, not learning English. So if you have such a problem, and you're given a date, it doesn't have time, then you will need to increase the frequency. And increasing the frequency is now splitting it from that date, from that day. Can I check out hourly by hourly, hourly by hourly? So I will create on 23rd of July after midnight at 1 a.m. Kulikuwa na mtu mwenye alitweet. Huyu jamaa alikuwa amefurahi ama alikuwa hajafurahi, na walikuwa wangapi? Once I have that data, I can now create a trend to my boss and tell them, as your day rolls, your customers are getting happy. And it means your workforce are doing a good job because they are answering via Twitter. That is a value. Yeah, that is a value you can actually do. Trending of sentiments of a certain company via tweets. You can do that and go pitch it to your prospective employer. Nothing is preventing you from doing that. Now, that is upsampling. Okay, that makes sense. Their main reason for upsampling, I've already explained that. Feature engineering, where you have observations and summaries from both timescales, and more in developing a model. So it's you to determine, and there is problem framing. So depending on the problem, like that one I've given for Twitter. This is the theory behind upsampling. Yeah. So upsampling is you're increasing the frequency, and whenever you increase the frequency, one or two things normally happen. There are certain techniques that you use. The first one is linear, there is another one polynomial, and there is spline. Now, when you increase the time within which you're observing, you're most likely to end up with null values. Yeah? So when you increase the frequency, for instance, you increase the frequency from day to hourly, you will have some hours there with 0, 0, 0. Kuna hours zingine zitakuwa na values. Those null values, you need to fill them up. That is a challenge with upsampling. When you're filling up those null values, you can use several techniques. You can use linear, polynomials, spline, and thank God all that is in code. So once I send this code, please revisit and play this video and follow through, and you will get Eriko ametuacha, stima imepotea. Don't worry, Eriko, this thing is being recorded. You will play it after that. All right? What okay, PLC, they're messing us up. Now, before I go on, I've spoken too much. I want to take a break. I have 4 minutes. Just by on chat, please just tell me if you're following quickly. I don't want to be continuing and I'm boring you guys, and you guys are good stuff. Naskia, following. I'm waiting. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Perfect. Okay. Good stuff. Now, those are some of the techniques. And when you're filling them, there is something called last observation carried forward, next observation carried backward. I'm going to explain those later in the document, how to fill those null values. Downsampling is pretty straightforward, and you guys have seen the benefit. It enables you to try and see. You're downsampling, you're reducing the frequency. So you want the data to make sense to you. So you're downsampling it. It's pretty straightforward. So when you're downsampling, you can decide, I want to see this data or weekly by weekly. I want to see it month on month. I want to see it month on month, which is in the data. Quarterly by quarterly, I've plotted that. And then you also want to see it annually, yeah? Annually. So annually won't make a lot of sense to you because you want to see things like seasonality. Do we have any seasonality within the year? Do you have any trend? Which brings me to something before I go to the rolling window, seasonality and trend. Now, if you observe, like what you're looking at right now, this is a typical trend, yeah? So, and the trend is the demand has been gradually increasing. From 2013 to 2017, the trend has been consistently increasing. That is a trend. Seasonality is when you look at the repetition of a certain trend. So for instance, if you observe the same data in, say, the 1 year, let's look at 2013 and 2014. Let's look at this, 2013, 2014, and then 2014, 2015, 2015, 2016. It looks like there's a certain trend that is repeating itself year on year, okay? Now, if we look at that, and now instead of looking at it the entire year, 2013, let's look at it month on month. Yeah, this is monthly, month on month. So there is a dip, there is an increase, a general, and then this trend somehow repeats itself, but at a larger scale. Yeah, and then it dips, and then it repeats itself. So there are certain seasons. So if you look at a month and you want to look at week on week, you want to check week on week. See? So that is the definition and difference between seasonality and trend. Okay. Rolling window. Nimeongea sana. And today's class has been a lot about me to you. This one I want to push it to my friend Grace. Grace, hebu fungua roho. Let me take a glass of water. Tusaidie hapa. Ama Grace ashachomoka?
No, I'm here.
Ah, good.
Yeah, you're saying?
Help us with the rolling window. What do you understand by the word rolling window?
Okay, so okay, in my I've always seen it as a way of smoothening data.
So which leads us to that. It leads us to another question: what is smoothening of data? So can you define it without using smoothening?
Okay. Let me think of an example. Can I even remember? Okay. So you come up with a window size. There's a window size. Oh yeah. So you come up with a window size. And then Okay. So I'm thinking, let's say you have a window size of 24. And then and then you have your sample. So we'll be applying if you create a model, we'll be applying the model on the sample that has the 24 observations. And then the next window will have 2 of 25 observations. And then the next one will have 3 of 26 observations, and so forth until you're done.
Yes. Now, in illustration, it's just by grouping. You see, up here, we were grouping our data year by year. So we want to look at it by just taking splitting it into specific periods of our interests. So instead of just looking at it year by year, month, week, we can choose how do we see the change by a specific set of group. So for instance, the change that we are looking at, when we look at day by day, we are observing the change on a daily basis. What if we wanted to observe the change after 3 days, after every 3 days, after every 5 days, we want to observe the change. After every 6 days, we want to observe and learn how does this change with regards to when we set a group. Now, when we set that group is what Grace has rightfully called the window size. So we define a window size, this data of ours. How do we want to observe and learn from it? So let's pick 3 days. Let's pick 5 days and see how it changes. Will it still resemble the same seasonality? Will it still, is it the statistical values like now the mean and the variance, do they change if we lump them and study it over time? Okay, so if we lump it, for instance, let's pick a data set of 3 by 3. So what rolling means? It means the aggregation, when you're starting this study, the aggregation starts on the very, very first value you look at will be after the third. If you pick a window size of 3, so you see this one becomes null, this one becomes null, and then this one, you aggregate all these other values. So you're studying it. So this is the first group, and then the second group. So if you do a summation, it will be, now that is what Grace says. This one will be an addition of this, and then this. Can someone do the calculation quickly? Isikuwe tu nafungua roho hivyo.
Yeah, it's correct.
It's correct, yes? Now, that is what, now we are observing that grouping. So this value will be an addition of this and the additional one. So we are grouping based on window size of 3. This, and this gives you this. So you're iterating, you're grouping them. So the next one will be, you take the last 3 and then you add. So you're creating a new observation set, but on a rolling basis. You're creating a new set on a rolling basis. Now, the idea behind creating a rolling basis is to observe the changes of statistical values like the mean or the variance. Yeah, because when this changes, then you'll come to see a certain term called stationarity over a period of time, stationarity or non-stationarity. So if it is stationary, if that value, the mean or the variance, changes over time. Silas is not in the meeting. He had asked that question in the WhatsApp group, and Grace gave him an answer. So that is what it means. So rolling window is something I believe the concept that you guys have understood. The notebook is there. I've run out of time. Now, let me come to shifting. This is still analyzing and looking at this data. You know what we're doing? We are just playing around with this data. We want to see what happens when we do certain things to the data. And with shifting data, it's a technique within which, excuse me, you can either fast forward or it's like just moving from the word shift. It's like moving either the data or the index. When you're looking at the index, you're looking at the x value, now the time values. And when you're looking at the data, it's now the data points. Yeah, I wish I had plotted a graph. I would do that, and in the next class, I will make sure that I illustrate with the diagram. Yeah. So the first thing you can do, you can either shift the data, and there's a technique of doing it using using code. You shift the data over with a certain defined lag. So if you want to look at this observation and shift it either by 2 or 3, it could be 2 days, 3 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, 3 months. You want to just shift the data. How will it look like? Is it likely to change? The statistical observations, like now the mean and variances, or what is it? Is the trend going to, or is the trend going to change? And then T shift is when you're using now, you're shifting the index. So the index, you can shift it either back or forward. I'll illustrate that using diagram. I've mentioned seasonality and I've mentioned trend. What I've not mentioned is noise. When the frequency is high, you might have certain things that are not relevant because the frequency is high. Like in our data set, we have, if we look at it on a daily basis, now Grace mentioned something to do with smoothing. Yeah, smoothing is a technique of handling and dealing with noise. Okay. Gosh, should we proceed or should we? I'm almost done. Actually, I'm done. Oh, Fuchs. This is the last one. I wanted to continue. I've not finished yet, but I think I've introduced the topics step by step, and the concepts are home and dry. So the last one, I've also mentioned stationarity. Stationarity is when those statistical values do not change over time when you do certain things to the data. All right. All right. Thank God it's done. So there are other things that we will cover in subsequent classes. We are going to cover differencing. Of course, you've seen it there. We will cover correlation, something that Grace had mentioned earlier. And we'll cover, what else? Any other thing that has been left out, a brief of all the algorithms that we will handle. And the same day, we will see the code. We will see the code of doing all these things. So the reason why this is very, very important is because when we'll be doing them in code, you'll understand exactly what you're trying to do and why we have to do it. Maswali, me, I'm done. I am done for today. This was too much content. If you guys don't want to talk, yes, go ahead.
Just a quick one, Ayub.
Yes.
But I think it goes to everyone. Now, this data that you're using, yeah? Mm-hmm. Is there a way we can get a more variant data or something?
Okay,
just thinking, I don't know.
Like dirty data for us to learn data cleaning.
Yes. Then secondly, where are we planning to get our data from for the project?
For the project, we could pick a company that has a lot of conversation in Twitter, because Twitter is available.
Yeah.
We could pick a company and just check out, try and see what is it about this company that people talk about most, and then try and classify them and more or less make it either a complaint or an inquiry, about a specific product. So if we get that data, then we can use it, because from Twitter we will have very dirty data. So we will go through all this process, but now data cleaning and doing tagging or classification. So there's a little bit of NLP. So it will be a little bit of NLP.
No problem.
So if anyone amongst us has any data that we can use, then you can give recommendation, because I at the moment I don't have. The one I had gotten was pretty clean, and besides teaching us how to do demand forecasting, it's not going to help us with regards to learning how to clean data and how to handle these dates. So people, how do we, that's a question asked by Faith, how do we go about this? Anyone with an idea? All right. So
or maybe Ayub,
yes?
we can still continue the data.
Mm-hmm.
Then once because now we'll have to repeat again with our own data. That's the processes. So maybe we can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we could proceed. In the meantime, what I will do, I'll try and see if I can get time or even engage one or two of us. Eric is very good with scraping data. We could just ask him to do it on our behalf. And then we get some dirty data for, if we can get like around 40K, because I don't think we can get 900 and something. If you can get 40K or for as much as we can get for an extended period, that would form a very good basis. And then when we'll be telling a story, we'll be telling a story on an existing company, because we tweeted their tweets. We scrapped their tweets. The only company will stay away from is Safaricom. So that would be my request, that we select any other company apart from Safaricom for us guys to learn, and because some of these insights could expose quite a lot of stuff, and I work for Safaricom, and I really don't want to be in the middle of that. It's maybe some analysis that is it could be a project that is being done internally. It might not be a project that is being done internally. So I don't know. I don't want to know in this way, because the interpretation might be different, that I had preview of such a project and then I'm going ahead. So that is the main reason why I'm advising we stay away from Safaricom, because I have no idea what's going on, if they are doing this or if they are not doing this. I don't have that information. So we can pick any other company unless there is any other, the company shouldn't be an employer of any one of us. That is what I would say. It shouldn't be an employer of any one of us. So for as long as the company is not an employer of any one of us, then we will all be safe. Faith, I think that would be good, yeah?
Yeah, that's okay. Maybe we can pick the I don't know. Is there a way we can check I don't know whether we can check the company with the highest complaints or something. I don't know.
Yes, we could check
check the first three and then decide on.
Yes. Okay, that would be my assignment. I'll try and figure out which are these other companies we could look at, and then we can pick on whichever.
But not Kenya Power.
Okay, Kenya Power is off the list. Kenya Power is off the list. SAF is off the list. Mwingine?
Nairobi Water.
Nairobi Water is off the list.
No, I'm suggesting Nairobi Water.
Oh, you're suggesting. Okay. Anyone working for Airtel? Okay, no one. So there is a proposal.
Hi, okay, I just wanted to mention, Ayub,
yes,
that when we select this company, we also select companies that have high engagement on social media, so that we get data.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So anyone working with Airtel? Yeah, okay. So Nairobi Water, there is a proposal. Nairobi Water, there is a proposal. Airtel. Any other proposal? I'll go check out the companies. Any other proposal? Anyone working with Zuri? KPLC is out of the list, Nelly. We are not considering KPLC.
GoTV, DSTV.
Yeah, GoTV. Okay, we have GoTV, DSTV. We have Airtel. We have Nairobi Water. Nairobi Water. And we want Stanley amesema complaints za Airtel ni kibao. Okay, good stuff. Aye. So we might just tell them a story that they had no idea. So wakitafuta watu wa kuemploy wanajua palipa kutoka. Sasa mimi tu I'm the only one who is not employable by anyone outside the project. So if there are opportunities that will come, it is for you guys. Me, I struck myself off the list completely. But anyone interested, if they ever come out, it is the skills and your capabilities that will have to be projected, because you guys are the ones learning this, and you'll be the ones that are doing it to the levels that you are passionate about. So those 4 names, I think, are good for start. The 4 names, GoTV, DSTV, Airtel, and Nairobi Water. So the 4 names, I'll go check them out in terms of their users. I'll check their users on social media, Twitter, and Facebook. And then in our next class, I will give you guys a report. And then in that class, we will decide. Once we decide on the specific company, we will engage Eric to scrap that data. So in that class, we will just finish our theoretical learning and do a basic intro to the modeling process. And once we have the data, our first class after, it means we will extend our program by some days, I think 1 or 2 days, because we will need to cover data cleaning and data manipulation for us guys to learn the data cleaning together with date manipulation for using Pandas. So we will need to know how to squeeze that. That sounds like a good plan. Yes?
Sorry, can Eric do the scrapping with somebody? If the person is interested?
Yes, of course.
You're saying that, and then maybe there's something somebody can learn extra.
Okay. What I'll do, we have a scrapper that was shared in NLP class, and actually the way we did it, every single person was given an opportunity to learn from the scrapper. I shared links where you can learn how to do it, and the code was shared by Eric and other guys. So we could do the same thing where each one of us is given the opportunity to learn how to scrap data from Twitter. You go through those links, and then you also do what? You also scrap the data that you need for this class. So if each one of us did say 30K and we are 10, we have 300K. That is good number. So I like your line of thoughts. I think I'll just do that. In that class, then it will be an entire class doing it. That sounds okay?
Yeah, that's fair enough, I guess.
All right. Okay. Any other question? Any other question? Oh, all right. So I think that's it. I will share this recording together with the notebook. Guys, please give me up to tomorrow midday latest, but I'll try as much as I can to share it earlier. And then when you get it, in your busy schedule, try as much as possible to at least learn Pandas, that is the exercise I'm giving you between now and the next class. Be comfortable with Pandas, be comfortable with Python for date manipulation, and then at least understand these concepts. Understand the concept that we've covered so far. When someone talks about shifting, when someone talks about rolling, what is seasonality, what is the difference between seasonality and trend, what is, all this stuff we've spoken about, be comfortable with them. So when we meet in class, that is where we will start from. We will start from just reviewing what you remember, and introduce the next class. Na kwa hayo mengi, I wish you guys good night and you stay safe. See you guys.
Good. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye, cheers. Mkae fiti na mkae safe.